Hello, everyone, and welcome to At America. At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center. And first of all, my name is Hasna Rohani. I'm one of the guests here in America, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all, our esteemed guests. And we are here today for the launch of Aruna's Sustainability Pledge, an initiative to promote and to maintain sustainability in fisheries management to preserve our marine ecosystem, especially here in Indonesia, the largest archipelagic country in the world. And therefore, we are delighted to welcome you on navigating the blue economy, promoting the sustainable Indonesian ocean industry. And for those of you who wish to engage in this discussion in Bahasa Indonesia, you can join us via Zoom. There is an interpretation feature that you can select according to your preference. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this event is a part of Indonesia Ocean Sustainability Forum 2024, and we are happy to present you a special video to watch. So please enjoy.
We founded Aruna on the foundation of the empowerment Indonesian fishers and coastal communities, and the improvement of seafood quality. Our beginning was humble, three college friends with a dream to improve the Indonesian fishers. Through winning Hackathon Merdeka, we found our footings and we consistently growing. To keep our growth, we have multiple our efforts in sustainability front. Living up to our mission to make the sea a better livelihood for all, we first released our sustainability report in 2022, followed by incoming report of our activities in 2023. We are not planning to stop at the anytime soon. In the coming years, we aim to continue to maintain our commitment for transparency by publishing more sustainability reports, highlighting our growth and improvements, as well as celebrating our achievements. Our implementation of sustainable initiative is catalyzed in Aruna Sustainability Pledge 2030, which consists of our Sea for All commitment. Aruna's commitment to providing sustainably sourced seafood means ensuring that all our fishing practice use environmentally friendly methods and tools without compromise. The scope of our responsibility also includes the Indonesian coast and their people. Our social and economic improvement initiative involve all members of the coastal society. As preserving the environment is a collective effort, Aruna will continue to champion sustainable values through active participation in sustainability actions. And now, we are inviting you to join us in realizing our Sustainability Pledge 2030. In this journey that we share, even the smallest change counts.
Can we give another round of applause for a special video that was specially crafted for you? And today we have also joined by our wonderful panelists as well as our keynote speaker that I will be introducing to you to give us a deeper understanding on the blue economy itself as well as its sustainability. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to introduce you to our distinguished keynote speaker, the CEO and founder of Outsourced Chief Sustainability Officer Asia. Please give a welcome to Dr. Darian McBain. Hello, doctor.
Hello and welcome everyone. Lovely to be here.
All right. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. I'm sitting in Singapore and my apologies, but I can't turn on my camera. So you'll just have to enjoy a picture of me instead.
Wonderful. All right. I will just pass the floor to you to give a speech on how we can preserve our marine ecosystem. Please give a welcome once again to Dr. Darian.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I first met the wonderful team at Aruna in Bali when I was helping with Hatch with one of their accelerators for women in ocean foods projects. And I was so inspired by their commitment to sustainability as well as working with Indonesian communities. So it's really an honor to be here. Now, I've always worked in sustainability. I trained as an environmental engineer over 20 years ago. But it was when I was working for Thai Union, one of the largest seafood processors in the world, that I really came to understand the importance of the oceans and as for seafood, not only as a food source, but a source of livelihoods and employment and culture and so many other things. And so I wanted to speak to you today a little bit about why the oceans are important and what we can do on sustainability. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So this is a picture. This image is called the Blue Marble, and it was taken from the Apollo 11 space mission in 1972. And it's the first time we really had the idea of how the planet is covered in water, because I'm sure if you look at it, you would say blue is the main color that we can see here. So over 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Most of that is by salt water. Less than 2% is actually fresh water, and a large portion of that is held within the ice polar caps. And so when we're looking now, and if you look at, say, COP28 and all of the conferences about climate change, often it's called green. So we look at the green economy, we look at a green transition, we try to green the world. And green is important, don't get me wrong, but actually blue is even more important. We go to the next slide, please. So the oceans, if we look at the next slide, do all sorts of things for us that perhaps we don't really fully appreciate. The oceans actually regulate the climate for us. So if we didn't have the oceans, we wouldn't be able to have the temperature distribution around the world. The oceans have absorbed over 90% of the human-created carbon dioxide emissions since the Industrial Revolution. They also make sure that the temperatures are stable between the extremes of the North and South Pole and the equator. With the ocean currents that we have, not only do you have fish swimming around and all sorts of biodiversity, but it's helping to distribute that temperature. They keep the moisture in the air. They're an important part of the water cycle, so how we get fresh water onto land. And also the source of so many different parts of the industry. So you have maritime shipping. Over 90% of everything is transported by the oceans. You have fishing, obviously, and all sorts of seafoods. You have energy that's being produced in the oceans. You have minerals that are being researched. So we have lots of reasons that we need to protect the ocean, but very rarely are people looking at what they can do to conserve the ocean. And that's why sustainability is so important, whether it's plastics, reducing pollution, or reducing climate change. I should also say that around Indonesia and Southeast Asia, the oceans are a bed of biodiversity. So they are one of the greatest biodiversity hotspots in the world. So it's worth taking note. We move to the next slide, please. This is an image of how much money financial flows to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. And it's a bit hard to read what each of those means, but the one that's in yellow is the one that we're talking about, which is life below water. It's the UN SDG that's dedicated to looking at the sustainability of oceans and water. It attracts the least funding of all of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. A minuscule 0.01% of all UN SDG funding goes towards SDG 14, and only 0.56% of all philanthropic funding since 2016. And this is even though estimates are that the ocean economy overall is worth around $3 to $6 trillion. So it doesn't really make that much sense, and it's why it's so great that companies like Aruna are really focusing on ocean sustainability, because we absolutely need to have more people looking at what are the best ocean outcomes. Now, if we go to the next slide, please, you'll see the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Have you all seen these before? They're really noticeable because they're so colorful. Now, this has been broken down into what's called the wedding cake of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So at the bottom, you have the biosphere. So you have essentially the land, the water, the plants, and the trees. And you can see SDG 14, which is the one with the fish, is there in the biosphere. So really, that's underpinning everything. The next level up, you have society. So there you have no poverty, you have health, you have gender equality, zero hunger. So all of the things that we want to achieve across society and with people. And on top of that, you have the economy. So decent work and economic growth, or sustainable production and consumption. And finally, you've got the partnerships for the goals. Now, when you're looking at sustainability from a business perspective, you kind of need to marry up all of these different levels, but it's hard to do everything at once. So one of the things I would say to consider is, what are the areas that are most important for your business? So obviously with a company like Aruna, SDG 14, life below water is important, things like zero hunger and decent work. And it's about identifying what your priorities are and focusing on those. If we go to the next slide, please. It's getting really complex what all of the different regulations are, and I've listed some of the main ones, primarily coming out of the European Union, but also some of the United States ones. So there's a really strong focus from finance on making sure that you have comparable ESG, or environment, social governance data. And that's what the ISSB, or International Sustainability Standards Board, is doing. Why that's important for you is because if any businesses want to get financing in the future, you will need to be able to prove how sustainable you are. There's the EU taxonomy, which is helping to drive finance into different sectors of the economy, and also many economies in our region also have their own taxonomies. You have corporate sustainability reporting, you have issues around carbon border adjustment mechanisms, nature and finance, forced labor and supply chains, and deforestation. There are so many different regulations now at the moment. So for a business to be successful, you have to understand what your regulatory compliance is, what your stakeholders want you to do, and what will take to give you market access. And this could be a sustainability certification, for example, like the Marine Stewardship Council certification. So it's important to understand how all of these different aspects interact. If we go to the next slide, please. I think the next most important thing is to think about how to have an impact. And you can see from this graphic, you can have net zero goals, you can have a lot of jargon, you can have events, you can have ESG reports, but it's all just flowing out if you don't turn on that tap for action. So as you look at sustainability, I think it's about considering that all decisions that you make have an impact. Sometimes you need to have trade-offs, but make sure if you're making a decision that you can really make it count. And finally, if we move to the next slide, I thought I would share with you some of my steps to success of how people can embed sustainability into their businesses. So people often ask me how they can make their business more sustainable. And it is definitely a journey, and I don't think you ever actually get to that end point. So what I would say is, starting at the bottom, you need to identify what your material issues are. Understand what they are, whether it is access to resources, access to capital, the impact on your local population. Whatever those material issues are, you need to be addressing them. You need to know your stakeholders. Maybe it's your local government, maybe it's your customers, but know what they want and what they expect of you. Understand the regulatory landscape, not just in your own country, but also in your destination markets, because there are a lot of regulations that could prevent your products from coming in if you don't meet that landscape. Next, map your business risks. know where those risks are and put in plans to help mitigate any risks. Identify your allies. So this is about working and partnership for the goals. Know who is going to be an ally and who can help you on your way. Set your goals and measure progress. Look back, see how well you've done. Communicate and tell everybody what you're doing. And that's why events like this that Aruna are holding today are so important. You want to engage people on the journey that you're taking. And finally, review it all and adjust where you need to. And hopefully, if you do all of these steps, you should be transitioning to a more sustainable future. So if we just move to the last slide. This is me. Thank you very much for listening today. I hope you have a wonderful session and learn more about what Aruna is doing on sustainability, but also more about the ocean economy sector and how everybody can contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Darian, for your comprehensive explanation on what is currently happening to our ocean and how we can appreciate ocean more through sustainability strategies. And next, to begin our discussion, I would like to invite our lovely moderator, the co-founder and the Chief Sustainability Officer of Aruna, Utari Oktavianti. The stage is yours.
Check. Okay. Okay. All distinguished speakers and guests, thank you for joining today in person and virtually. I am Utari Oktavianti, Chief Sustainability Officer of Aruna. On behalf of Aruna team, I'm welcoming you on the second month, the second day, and the second Indonesia Ocean Sustainability Forum 2024. So first of all, I would like to deliver my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Marianne McBain, our keynote speakers for today, for giving us valuable insight on sustainability. Thank you so much, Dr. Darian, for taking the time for joining us today. In this talk show session, we will be beginning in the theme with integrating sustainability as the part of the company's DNA. The speakers who will be joining me for today are the experts on the field on sustainability. So without further ado, let me invite all of the speakers to the stage. First, we have Rahajeng Pratiwi from International Finance Corporation. Ms. Rahajeng is IFC Program Lead of ESG Advisory Program in Indonesia. She has 20 years experience in various capacities, providing multinational organization, private companies, and government with the strategic counsel and project implementation across the full spectrum of sustainability issue. Bu Rahajeng, you may have your seat. Next one, we have Lauren Blasco from AC Ventures. Lauren is the principal head of ESG in AC Ventures. Lauren previously worked as the director of sustainability in Potato Head, Bali, and she has been actively involved as ESG task force in Chamber of Commerce and Industry and as a Carbon Center of Excellence Task Force ASEAN BAC, Indonesia 2030. Lauren, you may have your seat. And last but not least, let's invite Professor Lucky Adrianto from IPB University. He is the Professor of Faculty of Marine and Fisheries at IPB University. He is also the Board Advisor to the Fisheries Association in Indonesia, and he is now also as a Aruna Sustainability Advisor. Professor, you may have your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause of all speakers. All right. Thank you again to all speakers for joining me today. We held this event collaborating with the Learning and Cultural Center at America to raise awareness about the sustainability. Also, I was a part of the alumni of the International Visitor Leadership Program of Sustainability Fisheries last year. So I am very excited and honored to be here, to be the moderator for this session, along with all of these amazing speakers. So, as we know, the growth of awareness in industry, especially consumers and society towards the sustainability and also the blue economy is very significant. So, considering Indonesia is one of the largest archipelago country in the world, and we just want to discuss today about the integration between the industry and the blue economy, especially sustainability, and also from the industry perspective to engage between the sustainability and the company DNA. So maybe I will start first from the Ms. Rahajang. Sustainability and ESG overview. What is your perspective? Because as we know that IFC is the largest global development institution focusing on exclusively the private sector. From your perspective, how would you explain sustainability and ESG integration into the business and company for the company, especially who just start their sustainability journey? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm the first test of this one. Sustainability, I think Dr. Darian already mentioned, like sustainability is if we can eat fish now, we have to ensure that we still can eat fish 10 years later in the same quantity at least, similar quality, and our sisters, our children, our grandchildren still can have it. That's what we call sustainable. And why it's important? Because IFC, financial institutions, you guys, doesn't want to work with company who will close down in 3 years, okay? Who will eat everything now, so you will be starving 3 years later, right? That's why sustainability is important. ESG integration, environmental, social, and governance is a framework how you will then assess the progress of your company by integrating sustainability aspect. If I'm saying, okay, I want to make sure 10 years later, Aruna is still, producing fish sustainably. So you use that environmental and social aspect and governance. Governance meaning that you manage, your board of director knows how to govern, how to supervise, etc. The aspects of sustainability. That's how I will explain to the company. Then the steps I think we just saw in the last slides. I will not start again, but again, know where you are at the moment and where do you want to go. Like Aruna says, like I want to have sustainable source 100% by 2030. That's a very measurable goal. Everyone can see whether Aruna can achieve by 2030 or not. Or perhaps it should be 2035. We don't know. Like what do you mean by sustainable source? All fish certified? I mean, I don't know, like I'm not the expert. The next presenter will be able to answer, but at least now we can measure as the user or as the one who works with Aruna, whether they will achieve that goal, right? So that's the first step, I think. Know where you are and where do you want to go, and you set all the strategy. I will not, repeat the last slide, but I agree with all. And engage with your stakeholders. This is another example. Again, I agree with Dr. Darian. It's like this is another example how to engage your stakeholders. I am their stakeholders. I eat fish, I eat seaweed, right? And then and I try to engage and to provide feedback, perhaps.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Rajang, for your explanation. Maybe we will continue to Lauren. Lauren, from venture capitalist point of view, how would you see the rise of ESG and investing, and how AC Venture help the portfolio assist company in their sustainability journey?
Thank you. I think I'm going to just kind of follow on a few things that you mentioned, because I think we're kind of both in the same boat from an investor standpoint, right? So I think, as you mentioned, how do investors view it? Well, it's viewed very positively, right? Because if you have ESG framework and you have things in place, you're not only going to be able to mitigate risks and make that very clear to the investor, but there's also a lot of long-term value creation based on that framework. And from AC Ventures and our perspective, like how can we assist our portfolio companies? And I think Dr. Darian mentioned in the beginning, but what we did is we did a baseline assessment across all of our portfolio companies. And this really gives you a starting point, right? Without having a baseline assessment, you don't really have any measurables and you can't really set targets. So that's kind of step one. From there, it's really helping support the portfolio companies with their with their frameworks. Identifying kind of that low-hanging fruit. So what are the things that you can implement quite quickly, as well as putting some long-term goals in place. So like with Aruna and this pledge of 2030, it's quite measurable. And also, how do you quantify that, and how can you improve upon it, or how can you change it, right? Like every year you see more impact, and how that's being measured.
All right. Thank you, Lauren, for highlighting about the step-by-step to achieve the sustainability goals in 2030. And Professor Luki, as an academic figure in fisheries, how would you explain sustainability in fisheries industry, and which part focus of fishery company would you start sustainable fishing practice?
And this is a very difficult question, right? Even though that actually I believe that all of you already knows that answer. Okay, I will start with this context of there is no fish, there is no fisheries company, and there is no even fisherman, even there is no professor in fisheries science. So I think fisheries, for the fisheries industry, sustainability is a must. Fisheries industry need sustainability as the DNA. It's internal, should be internally generated from the beginning of the fisheries company started. Meaning that, for example, when we talk about the fisheries industry, start from the ecosystem where the fisheries live, and then how then to catch the fisheries or the fish species itself, and then come to the processing, come to the distribution, and the end of the game is not in the context of, say, table, and then back to the ecosystem again. So the blue food system is now red. In the past, actually, we have adagium that actually seafood is from the sea to the table. But no, now from the sea and then back to the sea again. So this is actually the system thinking of the sustainability. And by that perspective, I think from the sea to the sea, sustainability must be understood by all of the fisheries industry at any level of scale of fisheries company, even the very small scale fisheries. To the large scale industry, you should need actually the thing of sea to sea sustainability paradigm. So again, which position of the sustainability in the fisheries industry at any level of scale, I will say sustainability is the DNA. The internally should be generated from the perspective of the company, start from the planning to the implementation, start from the sustainability paradigm to the action. As I like Dr. Darian's diagram on the many things on the sustainability, but maybe less action. And for the fisheries company, sustainability should be conducted in the sustainability action, not only in the context of, say, business process of the fisheries itself, but also how to increase the literacy of the stakeholders, how to increase the sustainability knowledge, for example, to all of the stakeholders in the fish industry, so that actually the one of the important things to be conducted by the fisheries company, like for example Aruna in the state.
All right.
Thank you, Mbak Utari.
Thanks, Prof. Luki, for highlighting that. We are totally agree with that. That it's more like about how we can collaborate to achieve our mission for sustainability. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the next question, I would like to remind you that we will open the Q&A session at the end of this talk show. So if you have any questions, please prepare it from now. And for the audience live stream, please send it through the chat and of our question box that already available in the Zoom. So maybe we are moved to the next questions. I think for the next question, I will start from Lauren. So Lauren, as the head of ESG at AC Ventures, from your experience, how do you spot companies with a good sustainability initiative or the mindset? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would go back to a little bit what I said earlier is we'd probably spot companies initially from like their reports, right? Typically the reports have some sort of quantifiable information. From there, we would also look at what type of commitments they've made, what certifications, what standards they use. I think then we'd kind of jump a little bit further into like the operations and what innovation and what technology they're using. So I'll use Aruna as a good example. So within that, technology and innovation, you guys are doing traceability. I had the privilege to go out and do a site visit to some of Aruna's facilities. So had the ability to see what they're implementing from like an energy efficiency as well as waste management, the education that's going on in the local communities, et cetera. So I'd say that's probably how we would spot companies, and then looking at it from a longer term perspective, how they actually integrate sustainability into their overall strategy. I think a lot of times companies initially have sustainability in like a silo, and it really needs to be integrated into the overall strategy, because there's a lot of overlap between the different departments. So if you're talking sustainability, it's a big part of operations, it's a big part of regulation, it's a big part of finance, right?
Yeah, right. That's very interesting, Lauren. And we talked a little bit about the example of the decision that we made as a leaders or as a management to decide which one is more effective, following the target or following the sustainability. And you tell the example. Maybe you can explain the example of how the decision company impacts with the sustainability.
Sure, sure. I think when we were talking earlier, we talked about how we look at something from a sustainability standpoint or how we look at it from an operational standpoint. So a very basic, simple example is in hospitality, where we were talking about rain jackets, right? So naturally, the operations team wants to buy disposable rain jackets because they're cheaper. And from my standpoint, I say, well, I think we should buy reusable jackets because it's better for the environment. So then we have this back and forth, and we say, okay, how can we meet in the middle, right? Because everything from an operational standpoint comes down to cost, and from an environmental standpoint comes down to reusable, not single use. So how can we integrate that into our overall strategy? And if sustainability is integrated into the overall strategy, we look at it from a bigger picture and we say, okay, we're not going to buy disposable. We're going to be against single-use plastic or single-use items. But then if you look at it from a budgetary perspective and you say, okay, we're either going to buy 100 single-use jackets, or we're going to buy every team member a reusable jacket, and actually the break even is probably like 2.5 months. So if you look at it from a long-term perspective, if it's integrated, it actually is more beneficial on a budgetary perspective as well.
Sure, thanks, Lauren. That's a very good example, because today we have our leadership team and also our management team. So we usually find out there is the day-to-day cases that we face in the business process. So move to the Professor Lucky. We are talking about sustainability. It's only true if we say it's a shared responsibility. So, Professor Lucky, from your experience in promoting sustainable fisheries, how do you engage with the multiple stakeholders? Because as you know, you are popular. You are popular. And what kind of challenges that you usually face when you overcome with them?
Well, yes, I think as academia, this is my personal opinion. My job is not only teaching the students, right? Especially in the context of sustainability, especially again in the context of fishery sustainability. In the SDGs, for example, the global value of sustainability, we know that sustainability should be or can be only achieved with the context of 4 pillars. There is no left behind. Governments, academia, private sectors, and community. At least four pillars of the SDG. In that context, sustainability, as I mentioned, for the fishery sustainability context, C2C paradigms, meaning that all stakeholders, multi-stakeholders should be engaged in the same frequency, in the same vision and mission related with the context of fisheries. I think I can say that, for example, if you may know all of, including Aruna, for the next 2025, 2024, 45 long-term development plan, there is one keyword. Indonesia become the negara Nusantara berkeadilan, berkelanjutan, right? Adil, berkedaulatan, berkelanjutan. Meaning there is a sustainability keyword there. In that context, all of the government, academia, private business, and community should have similar vision and value on sustainability. Back to your question, Mbak Utari, how then the multi-stakeholder platform should be engaged? I think I have to start with context of the government as the top leaders of this sustainability action. Because then sustainability should be pledged in the context of the government policy, and then all of the academia support the context how the sustainability can be measured, and that the private sector can be used as actually how the sustainability protocol can be developed and taken into action. And then last but not least, the sustainability impact should be also given to the context of community. So all of the multi-stakeholder platforms should be should be bound in the context of the government leadership. This is my personal opinion. It's not meaning that there is a top-down or bottom-up, but policy is government authority, meaning that if there is no government leadership on sustainability, then Mbak Utari, for example, then the private then waiting for the policy, right? And then the community doesn't know how to do. So the government, and then supported by our three stakeholders, should lead the sustainability. So I think that will be task of all of us, and I believe that using the platform of the long-term development plan, the government should address the sustainability of fisheries is very, very important for all of us. As Indonesia, as already mentioned by Aruna in the video, that Indonesia is the largest archipelagic state. Blue economy is ours. Maritime is ours. Not just only the adagium or the paradigm, but also taken by as action. So I believe that a multi-stakeholder platform through, for example, Mbak Utari, fisheries management area, for example, we have 11 for marine fisheries, and then alone 14 for the context of inland fisheries. Government should take a lead on the context of multi-stakeholder platform within each fisheries management area in marine or in inland aquatic ecosystem. I think that's the point of the.
Right. Thanks for highlighting the importance of the policymakers in terms of achieving the sustainability, Professor. So, Bu Rahajeng, it's always interesting, right, to talking about the sustainability initiative and talking about the collaborations. So, from your perspective, from the financial institution, how would you suggest, like, do and don'ts for the company in doing the sustainability initiative? Yeah, we need a tips from your perspective, Bu Rahajeng. Thank you.
Do make into actions. That's the first one. So we have discussed all ideas and the slides. Just do it, seriously. Yeah? So do understand, okay, I just want to emphasize again, our companies will be different, our business will be different. Lauren, I think, I don't know how many companies she will screen, you know, every quarter, every 6 months, similar to IFC. What will look in a company is how well do you know your company. When you report, if you are packaging of fish, what's material for you? One, supply chain, obviously, where the fish come from. But if it comes from Aruna and they promise it's like 100% sustainable source, so you're covered. What's the next one? It's your packaging, right? If it's all plastic and your market is actually the one who's already aware, you're doomed. In 1 year, in 6 months, nobody will buy your package because it's still in plastic and you never communicate your statement. So please do understand materiality. Perhaps packaging will not matter for Aruna because Aruna will send, I don't know, like fresh to business and it's not retail, etc. So please understand what's materiality to be reported. So when we look into the sustainability reporting, we love when you report sunatan, you know, bridge, membangun sekolah, yeah, you paint schools, but does it really material for your business? For in financial institution, what we want is like your commitment and you do it into actions. That's the do. The don't overclaim. I mean, people always like greenwashing, etc. Me, I look from positive sides. Perhaps unintentionally, you just overclaim. You don't know, one, what's material. When you pick indicator, because you don't know what's material, you pick any indicators that you think will be nice in your sustainability reporting, then you overclaim because you don't know how to actually calculate and take the data. And at the end, when people then go to you, when I am a user or financial institution asking, Mbak Utari, is it really like 100%? Like what type of certifications, etc. you use? The sampling that I don't know, at one point audit come in, and it will actually ruin your reputations. Remember, the reason why a business implement environmental social governance framework, because they want to minimize negative impact and they want to maximize positive impact. They want to maximize the reputations they have in the market to the investor. Again, Lauren is investor, I am investor here, so you want to maximize your perceptions, your your reputations, you want to attract market, you want to attract your customer, and you want to attract another investor as well. And you don't want to like go beyond, across the compliance, like policymaker as well. You want to ensure that you are in compliance. So don't overclaim. And the second one, I think what I want to emphasize, just a segue from Pak Luki, is stakeholders. When you say stakeholder engagement, it's not, oh, do you have any feedback? And that's it. Istilahnya itu, kami dengarkan, kami terima. Terus diapain, ya kan? So, oh, okay. So, stakeholder engagement is important. But what you do with the feedback from the stakeholder engagement. So, please don't ignore feedback from your stakeholders. Don't neglect them. After you ask, if I ask you, Pak, what type of fish do you want? What quality? And then I just, okay, I don't care, right? So what's the use of it? So please really take it into consideration, your stakeholder, investor, customer, academia, etc. So that's another thing that I think is important for us. Obviously, the second one is like transparency, you report, etc. And yeah.
Thanks, Bu Rahajeng. It's very tactical example of do and don'ts, and it will be very helpful for us. And maybe we come to the last questions from me. Maybe we go first with the Professor Luki. Prof, as Aruna Sustainability Advisors, could you please tell us a little bit about your role and how you have experience assisting us in terms of Aruna Sustainability journey?
It's very good question or very hard question, right? Difficult to answer. Anyway, when I got offers from Aruna to be part of the sustainability journey of Aruna, and thanks to all of Aruna leaders to offer this, is because then I asked to the Aruna, what's your company? Is that digital company or fisheries company? And I said, you are fisheries company. And when you talk about the fisheries company, then sustainability is your DNA. That's why actually sustainability, as I mentioned several times, if you do the sustainable fisheries or business fisheries, you must put sustainability in your DNA. That's why actually Mbak Utari as the CSO now, I'm very happy then as I know that fisheries is sustainability contextual is very important, then I encourage all of the fisheries company at any level of scale to have CSO, Chief Sustainability Officers. So my experience when then assisting Aruna in the context of encouraging them for doing and taking action on sustainability, that start from the system mapping. What's the problem actually in why the fisheries is not sustainable yet, for example, in the context of any business, blue swimming crabs, small pelagic fishes business, shrimps, anything. So start from that systematic view on this, why the problem, why and the problem of the sustainability, then get to the come of the problem solving, data, for example. And I like that actually then the Aruna start from the context of say, what is the lack, what is the gap of the sustainability process from input, process, and output. As maybe all of this audience is also fisheries audience, know from the sea, from the aquatic ecosystem, to the context of fisheries processing, market, and back to the context of the aquatic ecosystem, there is a very complex system. There is a problem of aquatic environments, there is a problem of technology to catch still unsustainable, for example, there is a problem of the processing, waste, something like that. Also, there's problem in the consumer itself. For example, like the getting the waste to after eating the shrimp or crabs, they then just waste the in the context of say environment. So in this all of the system, Aruna have a system to identify actually which is the context of data that we need for the sustainable market. In the context of that, I think what I would like to encourage all of the audience here is that what is Aruna doing is that start from the data. Data is very important to be taken, but I also encourage Aruna that don't really put your all energy to the data, but then with the best available data, you improve the data, and then take to the context of the next step of the sustainability. Don't then stop in the one that before we collect all of the data, then we don't move to the other step. No, just improve the data, put that this is one part of the sustainability journey, and then go to the contact movement. But still, in the context of say, let's say, a cycle of sustainability, we're still doing the process for maybe you, I don't know in English, it's very pluri, sorry, Lawrence, just like this. Don't like put berhenti di sini and then diam. It's just like this. But then there is some sustainability journey that actually still discussed and every time discussed with Aruna, how then Aruna can lead for the context of say sustainability journey, even to the so-called old, I mean old generation of the fisheries company. This was my role in Aruna and also in the other fisheries association is that how to connect between the young generation of fisheries company and the old generation of this company, and then put together for the sustainability paradigm, become the what we call Indonesian Fisheries Sustainability Corporation, incorporation. All Indonesian tuna, Indonesian blue swimming crab. Even though that the stakeholders, the player is different, many player of that, but they have Indonesian sustainability platform for that. That's my personal mission, dream, to become the Indonesian Fisheries Sustainability Platform, now through Aruna and through the Fisheries Association, Federation, I think, FAPI, to taken on the context sustainability in action together with all of the stakeholders. Good luck, Mbak, and then tetap semangat, Mbak.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Prof. Lucky, for giving us spirit to continue our sustainability movement. And please keep advise us for the futures. We move to Bu Rahajeng. How would you view a company like Aruna to put sustainability as their commitment? And what's your suggest to ensure that our company will be stay on track?
The first question is, I think Lauren already answered that one. Like the reason why IFC only works with companies like Aruna, companies that view sustainability or integrate sustainability into their business, is because this company understand their company better than others. They understand the risk better, they understand the opportunity better, and they proactively actually trying to put it into actions. You know, if you understand the risk, for example, like Aruna, if you understand the perubahan iklim, the climate change affect the weather, and it will affect your fishermen, and others don't do that, they're not aware of that company. We don't want to work with a company that's not aware with the latest trend, latest risk, you know. They don't understand the risk. They don't understand the risk comprehensively, that they don't put action into it. So that's how we view it. So obviously it's positively. It doesn't matter like whether it's small actions in the beginning, like Pak Luki says, like don't stop, just go ahead. And that's, I think, leading to the second questions, like how you stay on track. You continuously review. Once you know you have a strategy, a very good strategy, then you just have to do it. Why you have to do it? Like you have to have a very good governance. So CFO should know how much resources would be needed to actually for 100% sustainability source. It takes money, right? It takes efforts. It takes team. So past CFO don't go away and saying like we have no budget, right? You have to ask Pak Luki, you have to have this event. And COO, you cannot just say, oh, we need 100 tons, that's it. You know, it has to be sustainability source. Oh, it takes like 3 years to get certifications and I don't care, I want it now. You know, you cannot do that. And they have to be accountable according to their role. But on the other hand, there's also have to be incentive if you guys let them, you know, get the target achieved, right? And I think the second one is also engage, and put the latest trend. For example, like there were so many standards. Sometimes we are like overwhelmed by it, right? But I think that's our role in the business. We have to understand what's happened in the market. We have to understand the benchmark, like where are we as Aruna at the moment compared to other business, and that's actually how your business will grow and continue to grow. So I think to keep you on the track, review always your strategy, like Pak Luki say, like continuous improvement, compare yourself with the industry, engage always your stakeholders, like who are obviously shareholders is important, obviously Lauren here, please make her happy. And then, governance, very, very important. So, you also put track like who has to do what and put them accountable and put the incentive system if it's possible also for the achievement. Good luck.
Thank you, Bu Rahajang, for the very direct example for Aruna to implement the sustainability. It's a long journey, but yeah, at least we try. Last but not least, Lauren, as the head of ESG of IC Ventures and one of our board investors, how have you been supporting Aruna journey towards the sustainability fisheries? Me and maybe Alisra, we are often discuss with you about the sustainability. Maybe you can give an overview for our team or maybe the audience here about how the role of the investors of the company that implementing sustainability will support each other in the future.
Yeah. Like you said, we do talk quite often on a sustainability level, and I think our role is to support you. How can we help you, right? So with the resources that we have and what we have in place, like I mentioned earlier, is really starting with a baseline assessment. As Professor mentioned, data, right? Data is so key. You can't measure something that you don't have information on, right? So that's how a specific way that we can really help support is coming up with key metrics, quantifiable data, also coming up with tangible results, right? Like showcasing and communicating those tangible things, right? So whether that's internally or externally, people can always identify with something that's much more tangible, right? It makes it easier to digest. And another specific way that we can really work together is really in capacity building and training. So what resources do we have that can help you? How can we help you get better? So for example, even the relationship with IFC, we did quite a large event bringing a lot of our stakeholders together, specifically focusing on sustainability and ESG, and inviting all of our portfolio companies and especially Aruna, who participated, but really engaging and communicating with our own internal companies as well as our wider audience in terms of capacity building and training. And I'd say the last thing that I really want to point out, and I think everybody speaking today is really touching on this, and maybe we're hammering it home, but it's really the integration into the overall company. That's the most important thing, and you'll hear me and IFC and everybody kind of continuously saying that the more you integrate it into your overall strategy, the easier it is for everybody to understand and really get on board, because it really is for the benefit of the overall company.
Right, thanks for highlighting the importance of integration, the sustainability with the company's DNA. So for the closing remarks, to all speakers, I would like to address this question for you all. How do you view Aruna Sustainability Pledge C4All Commitment 2030, and how the people, because in here we have the team, the Nakama Aruna, we have the externals, and we have the students from the fisheries major already joined here and in the virtual as well, and how people can get involved into our journey and Indonesia sustainability journey in the future. Maybe start from Bu Rahajeng first.
Congratulations to Aruna for your pledge. I think it's seen positively. It shows that you are actually the leader in your industry or one of the leaders in industry. And please always believe that sustainability, again, is the heart of every business. That's the most important. So environmental, social, and how you govern those two aspects, along with economic. So it shows, I think for us, it shows your commitment. Stay on track. It will be a long journey. Actually, it will be like sustainable journey. So it doesn't stop, right? So it has goals, but then the goals needs to be another goals, and it will be like continuous improvement. So that's how we look from a financial institution perspective. I think from as investors, like we want to have more Arunas in Indonesia. Just like Professor Luki says, like we want to be like the center in the world, but that's not really important for us. It's like to have Indonesia, have a sustainable fishery industry. I think for people to get involved in the journey is, one is to educate ourselves. When we are discussing now blue economy, you all have like the handphones, right? I didn't have it like back then. But do you know like what's the blue economy? Or even like what's considered to be sustainability source supply chain in forestry and in fishery industry, right? So educate yourself, engage. I think by being here, it shows your commitment, like in every role that you are engaging in this one. And the second one, I think you really have, the third one is like to support products. Seriously, Aruna is a business. They need market, they need customers, they need shareholders, they need us, investors, to understand their business, and they are in this journey together. So please support their products, support. And the fourth one, I think, is you don't realize as customer, as share, as stakeholders, your feedback is actually valuable and expensive. If Aruna has to pay consultant to ask how to improve their business, they will have to pay like $100,000 sometimes, right? But as customers, as users, as employers, as investors, we can provide feedback to Aruna how to improve themselves. How is our expectation into a business in fishery industry that view sustainability, or where the sustainability is DNA, how we want them to behave, how we want them to have the goals, are they on track, etc. That's actually very valuable. So my encouragement is like provide feedback, be with them, and then always engage with the company like this, so they will, be always the leader in the sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the closing statement, Bu Rahajeng. Next, we will move to Lauren. Maybe you can give your closing remarks.
Sure. I think I'm going to echo a lot of what was already shared. It's really your pledge is very has a clear vision, has a timeline. So again, it's viewed very positively, right? So I think in terms of engaging, I think with a wider audience, it's really just communication. I think communication and transparency is two of the most important things, right? So over communicate. People want to hear about it, and that's how more and more people can get engaged. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Thanks, Lauren. And last but not least, Professor Luki, please give your closing remarks.
Thank you, Mbak Utari. I think the first, as a part of the Aruna families, I think I'm also very happy. I'm sangat bangga, Mbak Utari and all, that you already pledged this SEA as a sustainability platform. And that shows that actually the young generation of quote-unquote fisheries company has played very important roles in the context of leading the sustainability in fisheries in action. This is the first thing that I would like to congratulate to Arunas. The second one is that at any level of challenge, at any level of uncertainty, fisheries is very full of uncertainty. Aruna should be keep moving in the context giving the value of sustainability in each system, aquatic system, technology system, processing to the market, and back to the ecosystem. So all of this subsystem, Aruna should give the value at any level of challenge and uncertainty. That the digital ecosystem, the knowledge of the context of say technology, that Aruna now have, and also put some other discussion with other stakeholders can give the more value in all of the system. Last but not least, sustainability, as Mbak Rahajeng also mentioned, is a long journey. Temporal, there is temporal parameters. I should say in this audience that Aruna should keep in the context of young generation literacy. I know that Aruna is maybe full of the young generation, but I believe also Aruna getting old, right? After this, Mbak Utari getting old, Mas Dava getting old, Mas Farid. But then don't forget with the young generation. That's why actually I have a rule in that, because I have a mahasiswa, right? I have a student. Students always young, right? That's why I'm always young. That's why actually there is some also value, Mbak Utari. Not only business value, but also the content of social value in education, in research and innovation. And then all of that back to the conduct of the fisheries business. Congratulations, Mbak Utari.
Thank you, Professor Luki, for your closing remarks. So before we close this session and move forward to the Q&A, I would like to share that in 2024, Aruna strengthened our sustainability journey by partnering with the USAID Berikan. Today, also gather with us Bapak Saud Tampu Bulon as a Deputy Chief Party from USAID Berikan. So Pak Saud, if you could share a little bit about USAID Berikan and Aruna's participation in the collaboration, you can share your point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm Wildan actually, not Pak Saud. Yes.
So sorry,
I'm representative by Pak Saud. Thank you. I think it's very good opportunity for us to join here and hear from your experience. Yes, USAID Berikan, we have a project for 5 years, start 2022 until 2027, especially in the WPP. Maybe you know WPP is Fisheries Management Area in 711 and also 715. I think it's a lot of area similar with the Aruna area, right? So we are similar goals also with Aruna. We want to make sure how to improve sustainability in Indonesia. We support government of Indonesia with the 4 objectives. First one, we want to improve strengthening the adoption, also requirement with the regulation, how the fisheries actors can follow the requirement, especially for national government's regulations. And then second one, strengthening the good governance for small-scale fishers, because we know in Indonesia is more than 80% in the small-scale fishery. So it's the very key area how we can strengthen in that one. And then third one, to strengthening the incentive, how the government also market can support with the sustainability seafood. They can support. That's why this is part of our plan to make MOU with Aruna, because we have a similar goal. I think we have some area can be work together, especially to promote a sustainable product, maybe from the regulation, new requirement, not only just a certified product, but you know, maybe like in US have really attention with the marine mammals protect art, right? It is have additional requirement again, so we must try to meet that requirement. And the last one, to protect ETP, endangered, threatened, and protected species in the fishing vessel. So this is the part of the USAID Berikan. We will work start last year until 2027. So we are proud to work with Aruna. Then I think at the moment we still soon, yeah, maybe next week or next 2 weeks, we will have signed that MOU. At the moment, still under review by USAID Indonesia. So yeah, I think I want to say also congratulations for Aruna. So maybe your idea, your challenges also we can discuss. The last one from me, actually, I'm Wildan at the moment. Will manage in objective 2 to strengthening good governance in small-scale fisher. So I agree with you all. The action is the important. Not only just we have a good concept, but we work in the field. We know with the fishers. I think it's the part of us. And then the last one about the government. We don't want to just work ourselves without include the government. I hope maybe Aruna also can have a work together with government, because a lot of regulation in the fisheries. I think it's the big challenges also in the future, how to can strengthen that one. I think at all, again, congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pak Wildan, for your explanation. We are have a beneficial partnership with USAID Berikan in the future, so stay tuned and follow Aruna for our sustainability movement in the future. And now I welcome you if there is any questions from the audience. Probably 3 questions from now. Maybe we combine between the offline audience and the virtual audience. I will have 3 sessions. Maybe the first one we can go with this participant, and then the second one we can have the questions from here. Oh, there is already one person already raising his hands, and then one in the virtual. So maybe yeah, we can start. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Aruna and all the panelists. So I'm Michael Pardede from Carbon Share. So I have an interest in Indonesian ocean industry, especially in sustainability sector. So how does Aruna ensure sustainability in the international seafood market when faced with quality standards set by buyers? And how do Aruna manage fish that doesn't meet the standard to minimize waste while maintaining the sustainability? Thank you.
All right, thank you for the questions. But because the question is for me, I will try to answer it directly. Thanks for from Carbon Share for the questions. I think for Aruna, the most like Lauren and Bu Rahajeng and Prof. Luki already mentions, the most important things is combining the market side, the industry needs with the sustainability goals. So that's happened with us as well, that we see the trends that the consumers is more becoming aware of the sustainability itself. So in terms of the quality, there is no difference in terms of, for example, maintaining the quality and maintaining the sustainability. Let's go to the example one. The customers want the seafood that fresh and have the high quality, right? And if we want to have that kind of seafood, we need to work directly with the fishermen. And that's one of the things that we already done in Aruna, where we directly go with the fishermen. We have the quality control team. We are the one who manage the quality. So by that, we can manage and ensure the customers with our high quality standard, but as well as we can trace who is the fisherman that working with us, and we can educate the fishermen to become more sustainable by following the sustainable fishing standard. So I think that's how we can collaborate between the demand and also the sustainability movement. Yeah, I think that's hope that's answer. Is there any additional comments from the panels? No. Okay, maybe we can move to the second questions. To the second question, is there any question from this one? If okay. Sorry, we need to move to the next one. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Rudy, and I'm part of Aruna as marketing communication and also Maritime Foundation staff. Foundation that is part of Aruna as well. I usually create programs for coastal communities to support the sustainability journey of Aruna, such as West Bank and also capacity building program for the coastal communities. Some of the programs, like we educate them about the size of the catch that is allowed by the regulations. But we all know that local communities plays a vital role in driving sustainable development initiative, as they are intimately connected to the natural resources. But in reality, after we finish the program, not all of them continue to do about what we've taught them before. And here I want to ask for your insight about how to create and manage the community so that the program will go sustain like that. Thank you so much.
All right. I think it's maybe Prof. Luki first, and then the Bu Rahajeng, and maybe Lauren if you have any additional comments, please.
Yes, I think that's a very challenging question, and all of the stakeholders meet that problem. Okay, so in community, we have in theory of the community, we have KAP, CAP, yeah, knowledge, attitude, and practices. So in the context of that, I think the business players put together with the civil society like CSO, academia, should put in the context of which the 3 parameters, knowledge, attitude, practices, this very problem. Because in the community level, there is a knowledge, but then less attitude, and then less practice. But there is also part of the 3 of that. There is no knowledge, less attitude, and less practices. But also some of level of community, they have already knowledge, they have already attitude, but less practice. So I think this kind of mapping of this knowledge, attitude, practice should be mapped first in the context of that. So case by case, I think for the answering your question, but my personal was that experience to answer that is that usually we, as actually Aruna already done actually, I did this one when I have a task to increase the literacy and industry of CAP, the coastal community in the northern coast of Sumatra, dealing with the crabs fisheries. So I believe that there is one thing that we need. There is no local champions, young generation. Because usually community followers, they are followers. After they need that, okay, that's very good, then they follow that one. But if there is no champions in that community, I think that will be more challenging. I also did one in the context of with CSO. I think Pak Wildan and all of the audience here know. Say for example, like in Sulawesi Tenggara, in the southeast Sulawesi, with the territorial use right in fisheries, doing with small scale fisheries, we do championship with that. So after we have like a group of champion, at least we start with a very small group, then we do some extension, some technological capacity building and etc. And then they do that one. So that need, of course, time. But as I mentioned, there is no evidence that all community cannot be increase the capacity. In my experience with some of the CSO, and including with my student, some of the more I think a lot of case of the community can be done using the championship, not just only training. No, we develop the small champion first, and then do the training. Otherwise, they just like conduct of conventional training, then the result will be more challenging. So that's maybe answer of the context of say my personal experience. The key word is championship. The number two is that endurance. And in Sulawesi Tenggara, for example, in Southeast Asia, we need like 3 years become successful. In the Sumatra, we need something like 2 or 3 years also. But that I think is normal in the context of say condition when the community doesn't know anything about the sustainability first. But for the other case in Jakarta, that knowledge, attitude already like there, but less practices, then the time for make them understand is a bit shorter than the other cases. I think that's my personal experience answering your question.
All
But
right.
that's still challenge, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Prof. Lucky, for giving the example of how to create the local champion and keep the endurance to keep the community development. And maybe Bu Rahajeng, do you have any additional comments for that?
Now, I think I'm from IFC. Business is business. You can give time, but what's your tujuan? What's your objective, right? Your objective is 100% sustainability source. While you're continuing engaging this community, I think you also have to create incentive and disincentive. The one who cannot meet your targets, the one who cannot meet your requirement for you to achieve your target, then disincentive or simply disengage. So you don't source from them, right? Until they follow your sustainability requirement. And incentive for the one who champions of it, put more efforts on it. Because look, at the end of the time, like we have 100 people here, I don't think 100, that's why it's important to engage with stakeholders, because then you will understand, like from 100 that you face, how many who will be with you in your journey, one, directly influencing your business, indirectly influencing your business. So that's how when we are saying like stakeholder engagement is continuous process, because it will change. I will be like sharing with you only knowledge now, but later, if I were your investor, then I have stronger direct interaction with you, just like with Lauren, right? So that changed every day. So if you face it in community, if I were you, I will just always, review, okay, these sources, they are not meeting my sustainability sources at the moment, that what do we do? How many times that we have to go? Because it's also linked with resources. Like I have to go to my CFO saying like I need budget, and he would say like Bu, it's similar one again for 10 years, you know. Then you always have to be more, I think, realistic on it. So incentive, disincentive, I think you also have to think how creatively how to use that stick and carrot.
All right, thanks, Bu Rahajang, for that one. Lauren, do you want to additional?
Maybe I can just kind of recap a little bit because I feel like I sit in between. I think the incentive component is really important. I think being tangible is also really important. And I think when we talk about it is behavior change, really, like you're introducing something so you know that it's going to take time to change that behavior. But if you have something tangible that can showcase to them and having an incentive, I think it kind of wraps it all in one.
All right, thanks, Lauren, for concluding the questions. Hope it gives the insightful for our team as well. So are we have the question from the online one? No? Okay. We can move to the last questions from the students of the fisheries, please.
Hello, let me introduce myself. My name is Rahmat Habib Nasution. I'm student in Polytechnic Fisheries and Marine. And the question is, what is the program promoting the sustainable Indonesia ocean industry will dangers ocean in Indonesia? Are there sometimes company just concerned about profit, and sometimes company he not concerned about environment in ocean. And the second question is, what is the role of Aruna if happens illegal fishing to achieve purpose of your company? Thank you.
All right, thanks for the question. Maybe for the first one, Lauren, can you give a perspective from your experience? You have many portfolios, right? Include Aruna. He mentioned that sometimes the company just focus on profit, but they also need take care about the planet and the people. So maybe you can give your perspective for that.
Yeah, sure. So I guess from an investor perspective, as well as kind of wearing the hat of ESG sustainability, I can kind of give a perspective of both. I think from an investor perspective, you're always going to talk about profit, right? That's always going to be part of it. A business won't exist if there's not profit, right? But then kind of bridging the gap between the two, as I mentioned earlier in one of the questions, risk mitigation is also extremely important for any type of business, and that kind of falls under your ESG and your sustainability, right? But then also if you look at it from a sustainability or ESG standpoint, there's long-term value creation, which also leads into your profitability. So it's kind of, if you have looking at it from a financial standpoint, incorporating your ESG or your sustainability component, it actually really goes hand in hand.
All right, thanks, Lauren, for answering that. Additional for the IUU illegal fishing, Aruna is try our best to support that. But I think we align with what Professor Luki already mentioned. It's more important to have the data first. It's important to align with the government with the regulation of how we can measure the data and the registration and the legality of the fishermen first, before we decide that the fisherman is do the illegal fishing or not. So I think that's the very first step for us to measure the fisherman activities on the ground. So yeah, maybe we already conclude the session for today. Integrating sustainability into the company's DNA is a long journey where every step is counts. So a company needs to prioritize sustainability in their core operation and meet growing demands of the key stakeholders and conscious customers. Sustainability means that the company's operation needs to meet the needs of the current generations without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Highlighting what Dr. Derian mentions, the key is the action. All of the panelists already giving the perspective from the various experience from them, from the academic, from the financial institution, as well as the board investors. Today is very insightful discussions. Thanks for the panelists for today and all of their audiences and also the question for and the attention. So for now, we close the session of the talk show and I'll hand over it to the MC. Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please do give our wonderful panels along with our moderator a big round of applause. Thank you so much to our panelists for today's very insightful session. We have heard very, very powerful words today. And I will ask you to take your seats and we will have you back on stage in just a moment. So it's my great pleasure now to say that we are going to have a celebratory moment on the official launch of the Aruna Sustainability Pledge. And we are so fortunate that we have everybody here. So I'm going to ask all the panelists along with our lovely moderator to make their way back to the stage. First, we have Rahajeng Pratiwi, the Officer of Environment and Social Risk Management of IFC. You may make your way to just right there. And second, we have Professor Dr. Insinyur Lucky Adrianto, MSc, Professor of IPB University. You may stand right next to Mbak Rahaja. Next, we have Lauren Blasco, the Principal Head of ESG of AC Ventures. And we also have our moderator, Utari Octavianti, the co-founder and Chief Sustainability Officer of Aruna. All speakers and moderators are already here joining us with me on the stage. I would like to ask you to kindly press the button on the screen on a count to 3. Yes, everyone be ready. I will count to 3 before we start pressing. All right. 1, 2, 3. Ready? Here comes the Aruna Sustainability Pledge that has finally launched here at America. Thank you so much to all panelists and to our moderator. We hope that this pledge can significantly cover the increasing needs of people all over the world over products sourced from our ocean and have a mitigating effect on the sustainability issues at the same time. Thank you very much to all panelists. We are going to document the celebration. Everyone, please make your way in front of this stage. Yes. We're going to have a photo session again with the pledge. Yes. Okay, can everyone scoot over forward? Yes, thank you. All right, thank you so much, everyone. You may take your seats again. As we bring the Aruna Sustainability Pledge special session here at America to close, I would like to inform you all, if you find yourself enjoying this event, you can go to our website for more updates about our upcoming events at www.atamerica.or.id. You can follow our social media platforms too. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for interesting contents, giveaways, and so much more. Also, you can always rewatch our previous program on our YouTube channel, AT America. With that, again, thank you so much everyone for joining us today. My name is Hasna, and see you on the next At America event. Bye-bye, everybody.